This is your job now. What would you do? If you were Officer Krung or Officer Lane, if you were Derek Chauvin himself, how would you deal with it? What would you do? It's your sworn duty to arrest this guy, and he won't get in the car. Please don't hate me. I really do want to be a part of the solution. I really do want to be responsible and kind to my neighbors. I really do want to have a beneficial effect here, and I really do want to have a healthy discussion and a hopefully educated and reasonable, intelligent discussion about some of the things that are going on in the world these days. I know nobody's crying any tears or sending any flowers for Derek Chauvin, but think about it. He just got up and went to work like it was any other Tuesday, and this whole thing blew up in his face. Now, all of the officers have lost their jobs, lost their pensions, lost their probably their families, and nobody wants to touch these guys with a 10-foot pole now, and especially Derek Chauvin. Chauvin now, not only has he lost his job and probably his family has disowned him, he's lost his pension, he's been arrested and is serving a prison sentence for 22 and a half years, but on top of all that, now people are trying to kill him as well. He's been stabbed 22 times and nearly murdered in prison by some guy who, long story short is, this guy who stabbed him probably just wants to feather his own nest by making himself famous by killing the guy that was so famous. Everybody's really just trying to get a piece of the action and ride on poor George's coattails. I don't think anybody's really got George's interest in mind at all. And certainly nobody's crying any tears for Derek. But really, think about how unfair that is for him, because he can't even defend himself. He can't go on YouTube and say, hey, well, I didn't understand that he was going to die, or he can't post any videos. He's subject to the PR department for the police. He can't say anything. They're supposed to stand behind him. They're supposed to say, well, he used a technique that was... No, they didn't do that. They threw him to the wolves. They cut him loose. The whole politically charged atmosphere, the whole public opinion, the mob mentality that piled up on this whole thing right from the get-go, the police wouldn't touch him. So they sacrificed him. They're like, no, man, they didn't support him. He can't. It's the police union that pays for his defense, and I think it was pretty poor defense too. They basically set him up. He must feel like he was served up like Sunday turkey. And really, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but for my money, I think he's probably feeling pretty bitter about the whole thing, right? But nobody's taking any time to stop and think about what it would be like to be Derek Chauvin. Nobody's even stopping to think about what it might be like to be Officer Krung or Lane. And they lost their jobs too. Over what? Even though it's the fourth guy, Tao, all he did was stand back and tell the crowd to stand back and control the crowd. And he loses his job, loses his pension, and he's serving prison time too. Less than anybody else, because he was smart enough to, plead up, because, well, everybody's going down for this one on the police department anyway, of the police officers, so there's no point in even trying to fight it. He pleaded out. He still got served time. For what? Really? So if we don't stop and think about what it is to be like Derek Chauvin or the other officers, it's just another cannon shot over the bow of the other team. Derek Chauvin becomes a martyr for the police department. George Floyd becomes a martyr for the black community, and nobody really cares about the truth. It's just about making their story hit home for the other team. It's just another, you know, bomb in the battle. It's just another missile across to the other side, and hopefully you'll get some cash out of it. Maybe you'll get some play out of it in the news media, and that's not going to help. That's not going to create understanding. That's not going to make the problem go away. It's going to make it worse, right? It's going to make it much worse. So now the police are going to axe to grind against the news media and against the black community and so on. And the black community now has a good axe to grind against Derek Chauvin. And everything's painted in black and white. Everything's painted in absolutes, like a legend, like a parable, like a comic or something like that. It's a lesson, and you want to tell your lesson, so you want to tell it in the way that tells your story, right? It's not about understanding truth. It's about making points. It's about making the story fit what you want to say. And that's not going to help. That's not going to get us any closer to a solution. That's not going to get us any closer to bringing the police or the black community alongside each other and cooperating. It's just going to make it worse. So, what would you do? Write in your comments. Let me know what you think. What is it like to be Derek Chauvin? What is it like to be Officer Kung? Or Officer Lane? Was it fair to them? They just got up, went to work, didn't know what was going to happen, just showed up like it was any other Tuesday, and their whole lives were trashed in an instant because of George Floyd. I'm not saying they shouldn't be held responsible. I'm not saying that they deserve to be exonerated entirely, further from the truth, and but think about it. What would you do? Thanks for listening. Have a good night, folks. So if you really liked what we were talking about and liked what I was saying, then you want to keep in touch with any updates, then hit subscribe. If you really hated what I was talking about and you want to disagree with me at every opportunity, then hit subscribe. If you don't think that any of this has any relevance to you whatsoever, then I guess you're probably not going to continue the conversation. But that would be sad, because we're talking about the entire human race here. So I hope you'll join me as we continue looking into the various things that separate us and how we can maybe defeat those obstacles. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.